Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Welcome back again on the Biz Portal. This is your host for this segment on Trends Analysis, Toti Casino. Much of us to do today about treatment has been figured out, like current diseases like aging and cancer, heart and stroke. But little do we know about natural treatment. With us, we have this new technology that's been brought into the country, and it's been making headwaves or waves into the industry. And I'd like to talk more about this new technology called Crypto PPARs. I don't know what the topic is all about, but sure we'd like to have our guest here. He's the chairman and the managing director of SimplyNature.asia.com. And for us, we'll know more about that, whatever they have to offer. We have the managing director and chairman, none other than Mr. Shyan Lim. Welcome to our program, Shyan.
Hi, Toti. It's a pleasure being here.
Right. Real quick, what is Crypto PPARs? Why crypto? When you say crypto...
You think of Superman.
Right. And we think even cryptology, in encryption, in computer lingua, that's more like, encryption.
Yeah.
So why crypto?
Okay, first of all, I'm from Singapore. I'm a Singaporean.
Yeah.
So in my country, in my culture, we do look for alternative medicine.
Okay.
And I know that in Philippines, there's actually a legislature
that
makes it a viable alternative.
Correct.
But our challenge has always been, for example, if you have blood sugar issues, grandma would say, eat ampalaya.
Correct.
Ampalaya. You ask, how does that work? No clue, but eat ampalaya. It works.
It works,
And for the Chinese, we take a lot of roots, right, like ginseng. After 5,000 years, we still don't know exactly the science behind it.
Yes.
Yes, but if you've taken something for 5,000 years, it can't be wrong.
Yes, exactly.
And we spend a lot of money on things like bird's nest. And it's so interesting. It's really just the spit of the swallow.
Okay.
But we can spend up to US $2,000 for bird's nest.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's supposed to make you beautiful.
All right.
Okay, so that's how it came. That's how we position our product. It's actually a natural therapy. It's a natural product. It's an LJ. Okay, but yet we know the science behind it.
Okay.
We actually know the pathways. We know how the product works. What's the active ingredients?
So how are you able to break down the elements or the components of?
You know what? When we started, it was invented by my godfather, Professor Wang Shunta.
Okay.
He specializes in LJ. He's a researcher. So he was just trying to create an LJ with higher absorbability.
Right.
So it took him 30 years. He came out with a unique strain. And people were taking the product, and they were feeling good. The most common testimony was blood cholesterol.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, people take blood cholesterol.
Right.
It starts to drop.
Right.
So we've decided to find out once and for all, how did the product work?
Okay.
So we had a good friend, Professor's peer, is actually Dr. Su Yiren.
From where?
From Taiwan.
Okay.
He's actually the head of CDC. Center for Disease Control.
In Washington, D.C.?
No, in Taiwan.
Right. Okay.
So when the bird flu was hit, he was the guy in charge.
All
and for the SARS, the Agent SARS thing,
right.
he was the person who tracked down SARS.
Oh, interesting.
And he narrowed it down to the ferret cat.
Right.
The cat, right? Yeah.
Correct.
So Dr. Su was embarking on research for the National Health Research Institute of Taiwan. So Professor Wang said, why don't you take a look at this? Can you find out for me why my product works? Because he's a botanist, he's not a medical researcher.
Whereas Dr. Su...
Dr. Su is one of the top pathologists in the world. Yeah.
Okay.
So they went into a research program with the government.
Oh, okay.
Okay, they did clinical trials on humans.
Which government? Was it Taiwan?
Taiwanese government.
All right.
So they did a human trial with the government. So more than 60 patients. They all have high blood cholesterol.
All right.
So after 1 month, they tested it. All their cholesterol normalized. 95% of these 60 patients normalized blood cholesterol.
Oh.
Okay.
After how many days?
Just 1 month.
Just 1 month, huh?
Just 1 month. And then what happened?
That's 1 month of daily
Daily
intake.
taking.
All right.
Daily
And then they did everything else normal.
Everything else normal. But that was not the most exciting thing. The most exciting thing was many of the blood cholesterol volunteers, the clinical trial patients, they were diabetic, which is why they were had high blood cholesterol.
Oh, okay.
And they found that their sugar normalized. That got the interest of the government because diabetes is one of the top 5 killers
Oh, yeah.
in Taiwan.
Not only there, I guess even in this part of the planet. I mean, I think the Philippines has got one of the high rates in diabetes.
Because you got the sweetest iced tea in the world.
True. We got a sweet tooth.
You got a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
So when they noticed that the blood sugar dropped, that became a national interest from the Ministry of Health. So it was targeted to then commission and to investigate why.
Oh, so it went to government level.
Yeah, it went to the government level. So they want to know why it works, right? Because there's huge potential and ramifications from that.
Right.
So they did a 5-year project, a 5-year research project. They identified that crypto contains PPARs, PPARs.
Okay.
It stands for peroxisome proliferated activator receptors.
All right. But I can find that in your website.
You can find that on my website, okay? And what happens is that just at the same time, the pharmaceutical industry were heavily researching on synthetic PPARs. Okay? And in fact, all your new drugs for diabetes and blood cholesterol treatment are actually PPAR-based drugs. Drugs like Avendia. These are $5 billion US drugs.
Wow.
Just these 2 drugs alone, the sales, global sales is more than $5 billion.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big, man. Yeah.
So what happened was there was a researcher, a senior researcher for Merck & Co., one of the top 3 pharmaceutical companies. He was doing a synthetic PPAR, but he couldn't get it approved because when FDA checked, it had a side effect. The side effect was that it damaged the liver.
Right.
Okay, so and
Normally when you talk about synthetic medicine,
it does.
it
But
affects
it's very prominent for this one.
Right.
So the Taiwanese government at that time poached him back for government work. He was supposed to help Dr. Zhao Yusen was supposed to help to regulate diabetes medicine because he's the formulator of the drugs that the doctors sell.
Okay.
So Dr. Su then passed him our product and said, take a look at this. Okay. So he said, okay. He took a look at it. He tested it for PPARs. He found that it contained 10 times as much as his synthetic. And the wonderful thing is, because ours is natural, there is no side effect.
PPARs is a treatment for diabetes?
PPARs is not only a treatment for diabetes. If you Google it, or you can go to PubMed, which is the U.S. Congress Medical Library, online library.
PubMed?
PubMed. It's actually research for cancer, Alzheimer's, all forms of cancer. All forms of cancer, from breast to liver to kidney, everything, lymphatic.
And you take this all orally, you don't undergo surgery?
Yep. But the pharmacies, the pharmaceutical industry is researching it. Obviously, it's for drugs. I'm
sure our viewers are wondering, I'm getting anxious to know more. On what stage of cancer treatment do you do the intervention for this type of treatment?
Wow, okay, wow. That's we are moving into another topic now. But it's okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Let's go.
Yeah.
This is it. When you talk about cancer treatment, I think the greatest challenge in cancer treatment is how do you just target the cancer cells. So it's been the holy grail of the pharmaceutical industry to find a smart drug. So we've moved in cancer treatment, we've moved from oral chemotherapy and oral medicine to injections. Okay, because injections, you localize the damage. You don't go through your whole intestinal tract and your blood vessels.
Trace it, exactly.
And it damages everything, right?
Sure.
So now they inject. But the most amazing thing is that our body actually have smart cancer killer cells. Okay, so
the general public doesn't know that.
Yeah. And you know what's the interesting thing? When I was in school, I happened to, my roommate was a doctor, right? So he was sharing with me that, do you know that human beings are the most anti-cancer creation that God created? Said the only reason why we live up to 120 is that we have very strong anti-cancer systems. So if you take a look at your guinea pig, your rabbits, your hamsters, they always die of tumor. So they really just live a short few months or years. And if you have an old dog, usually it's growth tumors in there that causes the death.
Right.
But we live to 120 because we don't get cancer. We're not supposed to get cancer.
Okay.
And we are not tortoises, so we don't have a low metabolic rate. We have a high metabolic rate, but we can live to 100. Yeah. So the problem is our lifestyle. We take a lot of fast food.
Oh yeah.
So
High stress, it's information age, everything
Yeah.
is got to be in a quick delivery, instant this, instant that.
Toti, have you not noticed that when I was younger, when you said a cancer patient, you assume it's some tito. Some tito that uncle, right?
Yeah.
60 years old, 55 years old,
Right,
and
right.
above.
Yeah.
It's unheard of to see a teenager or someone in their 20s with cancer.
Right.
Yeah. But now, it's normal.
Ah, okay.
Now
it's
it's
more
normal.
common.
It's very common.
And why is that? Is it because of our diet? Is it because of the exposure to pollution?
Yeah, I think
stress?
it's all the above. But I think the diet is a huge component. If you
Okay.
think about it, if our uncles who are 60 years old, they probably started to eat our modern food when they were 40.
Right.
Because that's when all the famous fast food brands came out, right?
Yeah.
But so they ate it for 20 years
Okay.
and they started to have health challenges.
Yes.
But we start
At a young
at
age.
6. So I think the length of time it takes for you to damage your system is more or less the same. But we started at age 6.
Okay.
They started at age 40.
All right.
Because before then, they didn't have all this.
Okay. I'm sorry, it's kind of veered away from what
Yeah.
you were covering.
Yeah.
So the Taiwanese government noticed that this crypto PARs,
Yeah.
PPARs,
Yeah.
is more effective than synthetic.
They actually said that on the news. It's quite amazing. There was a news clip. Because when they found, after 5 years of research, when they found out what works, it came out on all the TV news that day. Taiwanese has 5 major channels.
Oh, okay.
A lot of all these channels. So it came out on the evening news, the afternoon news.
Oh, all right.
It was a big issue.
This was in about how many years ago?
2005.
Okay.
And since then, we've actually continued our research. So we are the only natural product which makes therapeutic claims.
In Singapore or in
No,
Taiwan?
in Taiwan. Because in Taiwan, there's a legislature that allows, same as here in Philippines and Singapore, if you're not a drug, you can't make therapeutic claim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you're not a drug company.
You can't make, because you're not a drug.
Yeah. Oh, you're not a drug.
Yeah,
All right.
you're not a drug. And then if you take a look at nutritional supplements,
That's
it always has this non-therapeutic claim label at the bottom.
yeah.
Because legally, foods cannot make therapeutic claims. There's just no legal structure for foods to make therapeutic claims.
There's no
Legal structure. So you can't make an advertising claim to say that
food, natural food.
will be able to treat anything. You can't say that. It's a risk.
It's kind of odd.
Yeah.
There's something flawed about that.
I think this is for public safety, so that people don't make health products which are not as rigorous as the drug industry.
Okay.
A lot of controls in the drug industry.
Yeah.
So a lot of standards that need to be met in the drug industry.
Okay.
So that's why they can make claims.
Okay. From Taiwan, then you move the product to Singapore. And
To
then,
Singapore.
but I'd like to know more of what is the government is doing, but before we go further, we've got to pause for a break.
Okay.
You're tuning in here on the Biz Portal for this segment on Trends and Eyes, and our topic for this episode is on the subject matter of Crypto PPARs, which is a natural treatment for diabetes, aging, and cancer. Do stay tuned for more information.